Hello and welcome back to another great episode of the MPTV Coaches Show. Ryan Lindley, Eric Myers, and a couple weeks weird here. We did solo episodes, everything's happened under the sun, but finally at last we are back together. And let's take that a step further. The sun is shining outside.
Yeah, we got a bunch of games to actually talk about. We actually had a week where almost everybody played at least the majority of their scheduled games.
Still rained. We shoot this on a Wednesday. I know varsity baseball got rained out last night. Softball got rained out. But some people are playing. Let's actually just kick it off. Let's go straight into baseball. What do we got?
Yeah, so baseball, obviously, like you said, rained out on Tuesday, did play Monday, 5-0 win over Limestone. Ryan Schaffnet, who we're going to talk to in just a few minutes, was outstanding on the mound through a complete game with 10 strikeouts. He only threw 79 pitches.
Which is pretty impressive.
Which is really amazing, really, right?
7-inning game.
Yeah. 64 strikes, though. When you only throw 15 balls the entire game, you can get through those 7 innings pretty quickly.
So you youngsters out there, that is a key takeaway from two coaches and a varsity athlete. Throw strikes. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then baseball continues on. It's a busy week. I mean, they're going to play, obviously, as we're filming this on a Wednesday, they're going to play Limestone at Limestone this evening. Then they play IVC on Thursday night at IVC, and then back home for Streeter on Saturday.
So if you get out there, MYBA, Morton Baseball, everything's happening at Westwood Park this weekend. So lots of games, not just for the high school, the varsity level. Coach teams on the road. We're going to be at Tremont. But there's going to be all kinds of, there's an MYBA round robin happening as well.
Yeah.
So lots of Morton athletes, not just the high school, being participated in that. Let's shift gears. Before we shift, let's talk to Schaff.
Yeah, let's do that. So I got a chance to sit down with Ryan Schaffnet. Here's that interview. Welcome back here. Ryan Lindley here with Ryan Schaffnet. We're talking Morton baseball, and Ryan, season is off to a great start. Kind of talk about how it's going.
I think it's going great. We're like 12-3, so I'd say we started off pretty well in the middle Illini, just one loss, and personally, the season's going well. Pitching on the mound and hitting too, so just got to keep the ball rolling.
Awesome. And let's talk about your last two starts. We'll do one at a time. You had one Pekin about a week ago, give or take, as we're filming this. Kind of a unique situation because you started the game, pitched 6 innings, came out of the game, had to re-enter the game to finish the game.
Yeah, so felt pretty good in the first 6 innings, no runs and everything, but then went to the dugout, told I wasn't going back out. I was all right with that, trusted my reliever, and then had to go back in and finish off the deal.
I'm going to just assume this has never happened. Have you ever been a part of a game like that before?
I didn't even think it was allowed, but when it happened, I was like, okay, here we go. So
that's awesome. And then, just this past Monday, you played Limestone, and obviously you're back on the mound, you're pitching great, but I was looking at the stats, and complete game, 10 strikeouts, and you've done that before, that's really impressive, but 79 pitches, 64 strikes, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my goal, is to go out there, pump strikes, all the confidence on the mound, and the more strikes you throw, the better it goes. So that's what I've learned.
Absolutely. And then let's just kind of look ahead a little bit here. Obviously some tough games coming up in the Middle Illini. Kind of talk about goals for the season. What do the Potters want to accomplish this year? Yeah,
so I think our earlier Middle Illini games have prepared us, and all our non-conference games prepared us to face the harder teams later in the season, which is exactly what we want. And just kind of talk about maybe and I know maybe it's not necessarily we want to win 12 games or we want to win, a regional or whatever, but is there something that if this happens, we're in a really good spot? Oh yeah, for sure. Going into the Washington, Dunlap's at the top of the conference right now, so going in there, beating them, hopefully both of the games, and winning the Middle Illini.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ryan. We appreciate your time, and folks, stick around. We'll be back after this.
Thank you.
So as you can see, they're pretty excited about his opportunities there, as well as what's to come for him. So expecting big things from but he seems sometimes like a coach. He's like that player who was like the coach.
And I think, I don't know if I said it in the intro, he's only a junior. You look at him and he's 6'6", 6'7", somewhere, big guy, and he's been on varsity since his freshman year. You almost forget that he's only a junior because he's taken on that leadership role, but 3 years of varsity experience, even though he's only a junior, naturally he kind of fitted that leadership role.
Just kind of in that. You kind of feel like he knows a lot,
which
is a good thing for him. But let's shift gears. Staying on the diamonds, though, let's go to softball. How's softball rolling?
Softball is 500 right now, 7-7 overall record. Feeling really good about where they're at, coming off a 12-4 win over Richwoods. Had a game, we've talked about the rain a lot. This is kind of notable. Not a game they finished because the rain came in, but they were leading state-ranked Dunlap 1-0 when the rain came. They'll have to finish that later. But I mean, I think the main thing with softball is you are seeing definite signs of a growing program.
Yeah, for sure. Momentum is trending in the right direction there. I saw that Olivia Springer hit her 3rd home run of the season already right there. So awesome things happening with the Lady Potter softball. So hats off to them and keep rolling right there. Got about 3 weeks left in the baseball, softball seasons for the regular season. We'll go into the postseason. Let's shift gears. Let's go to tennis. What's happening in this tennis? They've been hugely affected by the rainouts.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, right, like for tennis, you know, that court, you do not want to play tennis if you're going to slip and slide at all. So you got to have really good weather. And they did win the Dragon Invite, so they were successful there playing in that. They've had a couple cancellations. They're going to get back on the court this week. And so we're excited about that, and hopefully they can continue to have that success.
So keep going down those. Obviously, check 8-18 for all those makeups and where everything's going to be with that. But great job to our boys tennis team who won the Dragon Invite, 1 out of 8 teams there. So some great competition. And let's go to our hardcore girls who will play in any weather whatsoever. Right. How they doing, those Lady Soccer Potters?
Yeah, number one, on Tuesday when everybody else canceled, they played and had a huge win over East Peoria. I mean, dominating there on the pitch. Also had a 7-0 win over Limestone since we last talked to you. I mean, just things are really going really well. I mean, the big game, though, is going to be next week against Dunlap. Those are the 2 top teams in the middle line, at least by all projections and looking at records at this point. I mean, Washington's led, from what we've heard, a solid team as well. But most of the prognosticators, I guess, if you want to call them that.
It's a big English word, coach.
Yeah,
they teach business.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Those people who make predictions have predicted that Morton Dunlap will decide the Middle Illini soccer title.
That's pretty good. So obviously you can head out and check out those games. But before then, our Lady Soccer Potters are going to head down to Chatham this week for the Chatham Invite Friday, Saturday. Hopefully the rain holds off for that, but I think they'll play through that as well. So best of luck to our Lady Soccer Potters and continuing their season and hopefully roll into another Middle Illini championship for that realm. And speaking of people who are running, and they're running fast, how are our Potters track and field athletes doing?
Let's start with girls track and field. I mean, Tegan Byer, we talked to a couple weeks ago, set another record. And I mean, she did say that was her goal when we talked to her, right? To continue to get quicker, set those records, take that indoor record and set the outdoor record as well. So, I mean, obviously she's been fantastic. Pretty much all the relays have actually been fantastic.
Boys and girls both.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the most challenging piece so far for track has been that the weather has impacted them a lot as well. Now, they've gotten some more meets in, but when you're out there as, you know, I mean, I know we both have run, not competitively like those kids, but when you're in that kind of so-so 48-degree weather, you don't necessarily always feel comfortable going full tilt as a sprinter. You know, those hamstrings are a little sore. So what's exciting is if we look in the next week's forecast, we get some nicer weather. We get those fast kids out there feeling 100%. I think more records go down.
I hope so, for sure. So hats off to Tegan, and as well as I think on the boys' side, Layton Knoop's really running really well right now. So keeping that going as we kind of flow into their postseason. They got a couple more weeks when it goes from there, and they have they have like the Middle Illini, and then they have like the conference. They got a whole bunch of different things happening. So great job to our track and field athletes. I know bass fishing's still out there. I think they've been affected by the weather, but I do also know the bass are spawning. So the great opportunities to get some big fish right there rolling through. So Coach, what kind of final thoughts we got?
I mean, I think just kind of looking forward into next week, hopefully the good weather allows all those teams to have a week where there aren't interruptions, games get played, you're out there at your best, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that we see that here next week and going forward the rest of the spring.
Yeah, well, hopefully all these rings, brings these spring showers, bring May flowers, right? So hopefully these flowers bloom for the Potters athletes, and they just win all the regional titles and the sectional titles and the state titles, right? What's that called in English? Where you like proliferate? What was the word there?
I mean, we were talking about
make it happen.
We're talking about prognosticators earlier,
positive,
but we're going positive. Like, what are we going to do? I'd say, just kind of that idea of proliferate, kind of, get out,
make it happen.
Make it happen.
Right? We can make it happen. So, without any further ado, for Ryan Lindley, I'm Eric Myers. Until next week, Potter Nation.
Welcome back here on our MPTV Coaches Show. Ryan Lindley, Jude Hart, and a lot of you probably know Jude from football. We're talking about his other sport. It's a sport that maybe a lot of people around Central Illinois don't know as much about, which is lacrosse. And Jude, let's start with this. Just how did you get into lacrosse?
I grew up on the East Coast, where lacrosse is a lot bigger than it is here, and a lot more people were playing it, and it looked like a fun, fast-paced game to play that I wanted to get myself into. And once I started playing, I just never never stop.
That's awesome. Talk to me about, obviously, we don't have any Morton-specific teams. We co-op, and obviously you play at Washington. Just kind of talk about the co-op, where you play your games, all that stuff.
We play at Washington. We have to go up to Chicago a lot because that's where a lot of the teams play. But it's nice. There's like 5 schools in the area: Eureka, Metamora, Pekin, Morton, that all feed into Washington. So it's a lot of Washington guys, but it's a good mix and it's fun.
How's the season going? I guess maybe that's the most important question.
It's going pretty good. We've had some losses that they're good teams. I think we'll probably end up seeing them again in sectional championship, but we could be doing better, but it's going okay.
And then kind of talk about that experience of going up to Chicago. I mean, just because obviously sometimes, one of the hardest things in sports is kind of that long trip and all that. Like, what's it like? You get up there, you play those teams. You
start getting used to it a little more into the season, but it's hard to get used to because, I mean, sitting on those buses for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, it does not feel good on your legs.
And then, obviously we talk about your other sport here. Obviously you're a QB for a football team. Is there a correlation between football and lacrosse? But I feel like there's got to be some similarities there.
Most definitely. I mean, lacrosse is a lot more physical than people think it is. You got to be athletic to play lacrosse. They both correlate really well to each other. It's like speed, quickness, agility. You got to be able to move.
Awesome. And then last question here for you, just kind of goals for the season. You mentioned probably trying to get to that sectional championship, but what's kind of the goal for this year?
Yeah, we kind of set our goal last year we fell short in the sectional championship, so we set our goal kind of to get back there and try and win one this year. Obviously, state is kind of, there's no divisions, so you have to compete with everyone for state, so that's maybe a little few years down the road.
Gotcha. But go get that sectional.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
Awesome. Thanks, Jude. We appreciate your time. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.